One forest is all he has. David Haass, though, no one-mana play, just Wooded Foothills.
Yeah, and notably no one-mana play from either side, which I think bodes better for Amulet Titan than it does for David Haass. Something like a Goblin Guide here on the start would have been a way for him to generate upwards of 6 to 8 damage from a one-mana spell, whereas now he's forced to basically just go 3U, 4U, 3U, 3U with burn spells to the head and see if that's good enough. If he doesn't follow this up with a turn 2 Eidolon of the Great Revel, chances are the game's over right now.
Rosum has a pretty strong turn 2. It's Sakura Tribe Scout, followed by Golgari Rot Farm. He'll pick up that forest. And Haass just cracks the Wooded Foothills to 19 and finds a tapped Sacred Foundry. Really good turn 2 there. There's Mountain and Searing Blaze. That'll take care of the Tribe Scout and knock Rosum to 17.
Yeah, and that stunts a bit of Rosum's development, but it looks like he has a great follow-up here in Azusa. That's going to allow him to hit some land drops and push further towards Primeval Titan and getting that Kabir Crossroad plus Bounce Land combination started.
Yeah, Ghost Quarter was the second land to put the Azusa out, and then Forest was replayed. So one land operating, using Ancient Stirrings to find something. Gemstone Mine picked up off the Stirrings.
Now, the way that this has kind of started here from John Rosum's side, I'm not convinced he actually has a 6th mana. Whether or not he has a Primeval Titan is up for grabs. He had 2 extra land drops that turn, but it looks like he no, he played both, excuse me. The first one was the Forest for the Stirrings, and the second one was the Gemstone Mine off of the Stirrings. So.
Well, if you're wondering about a Primeval Titan, on Haass's turn, he's going to cast a Goblin Guide and attack, and the trigger will reveal Summoner's Pack for Rosum.
All right, well, now we just have to see, does Rosum have that extra land? My guess is no, but we'll know soon enough.
And Rosum thinking about whether or not he wants to block. The Azusa is a 1-2 versus the 2-2 Goblin Guide.
Well, in this spot, Azusa has basically done her job already, allowing Rosum to play 2 extra lands. Odds are that Azusa doesn't have much value left after this. Rosum, I believe his hand, after flashing it, Summoner's Pact number 2 and a Trinket Mage. The Trinket Mage allowing Rosum to pick up Amulet of Vigor. Could turn a future, Simic Growth Chamber or another bounce line into extra mana, but Searing Blaze takes care of that possibility.
Yeah, the Goblin Guide is going to connect. That knocked Rosum to 15. Then Haass cracked an Arid Mace at 18 himself, and another Searing Blaze. Azusa down, Rosum at 12. On his turn, he drew that Summoner's Pact, and here's that Trinket Mage you mentioned.
Yeah, this spot for here, I assumed it was going to be Amulet of Vigor because that is an easy way for Rosum to generate a lot of mana next turn if he's able to draw into a land that enters the battlefield tapped. Makes it so that he can Summoner's Pact from Primeval Titan and cast it immediately.
Yep, Amulet Vigor was found and cast. Now we're back on Haass's side of things. There's Eidolon of the Great Revel. Bloodstained Mires the land. No attacks with the Goblin Guide. Not interested in trading that with the Trinket Mage.
Yeah, at this point, a land is what gets Rosum out of this. And attacking with Goblin Guide is just going to trade with Trinket Mage and potentially give Rosum an out for a land.
Back on Rosum's side, here's a Walking Ballista for 2. That's just outside of Eidolon range, so no damage off of casting that spell. And Rosum can just use that if he wants right away to trade with one of these creatures. Probably the Eidolon if he goes for that.
Yeah, I mean, Eidolon is the more threatening one. The Goblin Guide is currently being checked by both of these creatures. So I think he's going to basically wait for David to blink, or if he draws the land, he can save himself 2 damage by killing the Eidolon before casting his Summoner's Pact.
Oh, back on Haass's side, he's going to suspend a Rift Bolt. He didn't attack last turn, and once again, he's going to pass without attacking. Got a lot worse to try to attack into that Walking Ballista, though if he wanted to force action, attacking would be a good way to do it. Decides against it.
If he attacks with both creatures, odds are Rosum's just going to go put Walking Ballista in front of Goblin Guide and then spin the 2 counters to kill the Eidolon of the Great Revel. There's also the chance that Rosum's just like, you know what? I'm just going to trade both my creatures for both his creatures, get them off the battlefield. Mine are significantly worse than his right now. So,
yep, that makes sense. Rosum's going to start his turn by removing 1 Ballista counter to hit the Eidolon, and he'll finish that off right away.
Yep. My guess he drew a land. He's going to copy Rot Farm, float a mana, and then return it. This is a trick that Amulet players have been using for a long time. You return the bounce land itself to your hand, or the Vesuva copying the bounce land, so that if you draw a future Azusa or something like that, you actually have this land still in your hand that can generate multiple triggers, multiple extra mana via the Amulet of Vigor.
With that Eidolon dealt with, Rosum's now going to take the opportunity to Summoner's Pact for Primeval Titan. Cast that right away and drum up Slayer's Stronghold and Boros Garrison. Those will untap because of the Amulet. Give that Titan Vigilance and Haste. Bounce land trigger off the Garrison. He'll pick up that Ghost Corridor. Use the attack from the Titan. This is an attack for 8. Titan triggers again.
Not sure how much it matters. I would have liked to have seen Rosum get a little aggressive here and attack with a Trinket Mage as well, especially if he's going to be gaining 2 life off of this Kabir Crossroads. But with the Rift Bolt looming, I could definitely see a reason to hold the Trinket Mage back, because Rift Bolt plus another 3 damage burn spell targeting Primeval Titan leaves him without a whole lot at the ready. But he still has that backup Summoner's Pact for an additional Primeval Titan next turn.
Yeah, the find is Kabir Crossroads and Colony Gardens. He'll go to 14 and make a plant token.
I think the Skullcrack is in response to the Kabir Crossroads. We're going to get some confirmation on that. But my assumption is that he is going to go from 12 to 9.
That makes more sense, and that is what happened.
Elliot Raff showing up pretty regularly these days.
We have been seeing a lot of plant tokens, a lot of Amulet Titan in the Modern format right now. That 8, I believe, is going to go unblocked.
Now,
David Haass will fall to 10 here. Haass is going to crack that Bloodstained Mire, falling to 9. He's going to need a pretty big turn here. He does at least have that Rift Bolt coming off Suspend. Could potentially lock this up on his turn, and likely needs to win on this turn. There's a lot of combinations that do it from here. Rift Bolt comes off Suspend, that goes upstairs. That should knock Rosum to 6.
Yeah, that Skullcrack playing a huge role in the spot. Kept him basically from gaining the 2 life. Dealt basically 5 damage. And put Rosum down to 6 here with that Rift Bolt. And if he had a 3 damage spell in hand already, all he needed to draw was 1 more.
Monastery Swift Spear, that is not it. And Haass just has to pass back. Now back on Rosum's side, he's going to pay for that Summoner's Pact. That's step 1 on the turn.
Yeah, and with the additional Summoner's Pact in hand, plus the ability to just like copy the Kabir Crossroads with the Vesuva, and then bounce the Kabir Crossroads with the Primeval Titan getting one of the bounce lands. This is too much life gain. It's not unless David Haass has another Skullcrack here, and somehow Rosum doesn't find lethal.
Yeah, he should be able to find his double strike land here, right?
Yeah, Sunhome, Fortress of the Legion, makes for a giant Primeval Titan. I don't think there's any real card in David Haass's deck that can prevent this attack for a large chunk of damage. Roughly 16 minus the toughness, and that's if the Trinket Mage doesn't come in as well.
Yeah, not going to see a main deck deflecting Palm here.
Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, we have the decks in front of us. We know that there's main deck deflecting Palm, but I have been hit in the face with a deflecting Palm in Game 1 before.
Yikes.
Don't count them out.
That must feel terrible.
It's not good, Chief. It's not good at all. All right, so Rosum here. He's trying to figure out the line. He has access to a Summoner's Pact. That's a lot. There's a lot of little combinations of things that he can do to try to get through lethal. And he's trying to figure out if there's any way to play around X, Y, Z.
Yep, he'll start by using the Stronghold on his Titan, and then he's going to attack with that 8-power Titan and the Trinket Mage. Probably will Titan trigger. There's Sunhome. See what the second land is. Simic Growth Chamber. Those will untap. Still has untapped Gemstone Mine. He'll pick up his Kabir Crossroads with that Growth Chamber trigger. And that's going to do it. That double strike on that 8-power creature will clean up, and Haass is going to pick him up. Rosum is a winner. We're going to Game 2.
And let's take a look at the sideboards and see if David Haass has anything that can get him back in this match after taking that rough Game 1 loss.
Sideboard's pretty clean, which I do like to see from a burn deck. He has 4 Searing Blood, 4 Rest in Peace, 4 Smash to Smithereens, 2 Path to Exile, and 1 Scab Clan Berserker. Do you like Path to Exile in this matchup?
I mean, I think you gotta, just because you can sometimes steal a game by hitting a Primeval Titan with Path to Exile with the the +2/+0 and haste on the stack. It's not great, right? Like, it's going to be basically dead until you're starting to lose. But if there are some times where, like, a Lava Spike or something's not going to be better in that spot. So I don't love it, but at the same time, I think it's fine. As for the rest of the sideboard here, not a whole lot. Searing Blood could be good. The Amulet Titan deck does play a bunch of things like Sakura Tribe Scout, Azusa, Lost but Seeking, as well as occasionally the other frickin' Sakura Tribe Scout whose name escapes me because it's from like 8th edition and I never saw play until very recently.
Tempest.
Well, originally.
Yeah, it's in modern.
Tempest is not modern legal.
Yeah, weird. When did that happen?
Yeah. Anywho, so Searing Blood does have some targets. We saw Searing Bloods be particularly good in Game 1, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple Searing Bloods out of the sideboard. Smash to Smithereens does also take care of Amulet of Vigor, which is a huge part of the speed of the Amulet Titan deck, and when you're playing as Burn, Amulet is very important. So we could see quite a few cards coming in from David. I don't know how many of them are going to be overly effective, though.
Yeah, we'll see exactly how he sideboards as we go into the games. On Rosum's side, his options, 4 Assassin's Trophy. That's a new one. We did see Golgari Rot Farm in the first game here. 3 copies of Memoricide, so a heavily black sideboard here. Yeah. 2 Negate, a Cavern of Souls, an Engineered Explosives, 1 Remyap Excavator, a Reclamation Sage, a Rurik Thar the Unbowed, and a Hornet Queen.
Yeah, hilariously enough, I'm pretty sure Jonathan Rosum worked with Edgar Mahales on this list, because Edgar is playing 3 copies of Cranial Extraction, and Rosum is playing 3 copies of Memoricide. And they literally do the exact same thing, except Cranial Extraction has Arcane, which means you can splice onto it, but it also means that it can be countered by the 1 blue and 1 counter target Arcane or Spirit
Arcane spell.
Yeah. So as far as how Rosum's going to sideboard, I don't think you want a lot. Something like Negate could help fend off some of these more powerful sideboard cards or scary ones, but and it could just protect your life total from a lethal burn spell, so I expect he'll be bringing those in. The extra land with Cavern of Souls, not really necessary. More side Assassin's Trophy, not where you want to be in this matchup. Hornet Queen, a little too slow. What I do love, Reclamation Sage taking care of some potentially annoying sideboard card, but also it just takes out Eidolon of the Great Revel and provides a blocker for a Goblin Guide. I think Rurik Thar Unbowed, once you cast it, is lights out. Your opponent is dead 100% of the time in this matchup, unless you are at 6 life, and they are at 20. And then Engineered Explosives, I could see it coming in, but I don't like it too much.
John Rosum is relatively new to this Amulet Titan strategy, but he's a player that has quite a few accolades here on the SCG Tour. Last year he played in 19 Opens with 8 top 8s and a win. Those are amazing stats.
Yeah, that's a heck of a year if I ever seen one. Rosum really killing it lately. He was having some trouble at the end of last year trying to get back on track. Couldn't really decide between Jeskai Control or Humans, and those were his only 2 real modern decks. And then this year, he comes back, he's like, you know what? Screw all that nonsense. I'm just going to play the best deck. Amulet Titan here, off to a great start and up a game in round 7.
A 20-year-old from Spencer, Massachusetts. Probably not too far to travel to Worcester for young John Rosum.
Oh yeah, not too bad. I'm actually kind of jealous of the players who can get to Worcester without having to take a plane or a train.
Or both.
Yeah, or both.
And an automobile.
Yeah, I literally did the John Candy on Friday. It was not fun. I took Uber to the airport to another airport. Then I had to take an Uber to a train, and then a train to here, and then I had to walk half a mile in the -2 wind chill cold.
It was cold. You didn't bring a coat.
I don't own a coat.
Yeah, you don't need to own a coat usually.
Yeah. I wear a hoodie.
Yeah. I saw you, and I said, I don't know if we want to walk. It's very cold. You're like, yeah, it's fine. It wasn't fine. Fine.
Immediate regret. I was like, man, I should have just paid $6. Just Uber, man.
Right.
When in doubt, if it's cold, just Uber.
Yeah. be safe. Anyway, we got our match back underway. David Haass did mulligan to 6. He's on the play. Inspiring Vantage into Lava Spike. Rosum at 17. Rosum's going to start things off with a Forest and Ancient Stirrings.
Yeah, not the best start for the burn deck. No one-drop creature is a pretty big deal, and this is the second game in a row this has happened. It makes winning games a lot harder when you don't lead with a Swiss Spear or a Goblin Guide.
Kabira Crossroads was found off the Stirrings as well. Rosum should be going to work with that pretty soon. For the second turn, Haass will deploy a Goblin Guide that'll attack and reveal a SCGWOR Tribe Scout. Sacred Foundry tapped as the second land. For Rosum, he will deploy that Tribe Scout, play that Kabira Crossroads back to 17.
Yeah, this incremental life gain from lands like Kabira Crossroads with the ability via SCGWOR Tribe Scout to replay it definitely gives this Amulet Titan deck a lot of breathing room against the burn strategies. However, this Searing Blaze knocking off the Tribe Scout, dealing a bunch of damage. That's exactly where Burn wants to be in this matchup, putting pressure on the opponent and using those burn spells to slow him down and pop him in the head.
Yeah, knocked Rosum to 14 with the Blaze. The Goblin Guide made it 12. Gemstone Mine was revealed to the Goblin Guide trigger, so Rosum did draw a card off of that, as it were. For his third turn, he'll play that Gemstone Mine. Here's a Sousa Lost but Seeking. It looks like he might not have another land to play this turn, or maybe the spell's on the stack. Not sure where we're at with this.
Yeah, he's trying. I guess he's like, okay, I've played one land for the turn, but Azusa gives me 2. There have been some recent rules changes on how additional land drops are like tracked, and I think there's probably just needed for some clarification somewhere in there.
Could have been a question about priority as well. As you see, Rosum plays Talaria West and Simic Growth Chamber. That land has a trigger, so if that was the second land, you could respond to that, but you can't respond to the other land drops.
Correct.
But Rosum will pick up his Gemstone Mine. Haass will go to his turn, attack with Goblin Guide. Rosum will once again draw a card.
I'm quite surprised that Rosum actually picked up Gemstone Mine instead of the Kabira Crossroads, since he doesn't have the ability to, well, I don't know. I guess it makes sense, right? If he needs the 6 mana here and that's his only untapped land to cast Primeval Titan, returning the Gemstone Mine makes a lot of sense. So I'm curious to see how this turn plays out. Give me a better idea of what he has going on over there.
Yeah, Rosum did throw the Azusa in front of the Goblin Guide, so he'll stay at 12. No follow-up from Haass. Rosum starts his turn with the Amulet of Vigor. There's the Boros Garrison that was revealed to the Goblin Guide. That'll untap, and here's Summoner's Pack, 6 mana at the ready.
Yeah, this is definitely things going right for Rosum. He blocked that Goblin Guide because he knew that if he got to untap, he was in good shape. Going down to 10, there's a chance that I can't think of a thing that would actually kill him. So I'm trying to think, like, because he only has 3 mana. 3 bolts is only 9. Boros Charm plus bolt, plus land or whatever, that's not enough. I don't know. I'm curious what was going through his head there. I might go ask him after the match.
Yeah, not sure. Meantime, we're going to resolve this Primeval Titan. Colony Garden, Vesuva picked up. Plant token's going to come off of that. Get Elliot Raff back on the battlefield.
Yeah, I'm guessing, yes, Vesuva does copy the Kabira Crossroads to generate a little more life here. Rosum could have gone for Vesuva to copy Boros Garrison, and then Slayer Stronghold to give the Primeval Titan haste. Instead, playing around Path to Exile and or Deflecting Palm by not doing so.
Untap the Colony Garden, use that to cast Ancient Stirrings, use that Crossroads, that was the Vesuva copy, to cast the Amulet of Vigor that the Stirrings picked up. For Haass, here's a Lightning Helix, plus a Lightning Bolt. Those are aimed at the Primeval Titan. Haass will go to 23, Primeval Titan down.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearing it the hard way, but you got to clear it. Otherwise, it's just going to run you over. And even though Rosum doesn't know that David Haass has 0 copies of Deflecting Palm in the 75, he's going to play around it, but David basically has no other way to get that Titan off the table other than double burn spell / Path to Exile.
Goblin got attacked, gave Rosum a Golgari Rot farm off the top, and Rosum went ahead and blocked with his plant token, staying at 14. Eidolon of the Great Revel added to the battlefield for Haass post-combat. We're back on Rosum's side.
Yes, noticeably, Rosum did not give himself a backup way to put another Titan onto the battlefield. Unless he has one naturally or a second Summoner's Pact, he's not going to be able to Titan this turn.
Yeah, it's tough to Titan as he did start by paying for that Summoner's Pact, so not all that much mana available. Just gets to 5 with Gemstone Mine being the land. Back to Haass. He'll attack for 4 with his creatures. That reveals a Primeval Titan. That's hanging out on top of Rosum's deck. And Haass doesn't want to deal with that. He's got 2 lands in hand. He's going to concede. John Rosum 2-0 over David Haass on burn.
You know, I respect the snap concession so that I can head to the concessions.
The line's been long.
Yeah, it has. So I'm sure David has had enough